Okay.
Right. Is the raid
Hello?
connected?
Are we live?
Oh yeah, we're raiding. The raid is here. I think so. Okay, my EU4 is glitching out, so it looks very funny to them. Sorry, I've been having mic issues, so I'm very sorry if this does not sound great. But hi, this is Kaiten. I'm Kaiten. I have Bonbonny with me. You heard her before talk about the command. But she is
I'm
also
back.
one of the devs behind the new Magic rework. Which would you like me to show it off? Oh, would you like me to show it off?
Yes, so the Magic Rework has been a very long time coming. The original idea to do a rework of Magic has been in the game for as long as the original Magic system was in the game. As I've been reworking it, I've been going back through the code. There are literally comments left by JBean directing people what to do in the future when it gets reworked. None of those ideas were actually seen through because we didn't know they existed at the time we made this rework, but they were there. The actual meat and potatoes of this particular rework were started like over a year ago at this point. It has just taken ages to see through. It's been a rocky development, but we're here. We're here. Actually, it was supposed to get in this update, but I got banned. Um, so I couldn't work on it. But then I got unbanned, which means I could work on it. So it's gonna get in the next update. Promise. All right.
Not
So what is magic? The problems with the current system are basically that an estate magic system doesn't do anything. Like you've got maybe 10 extremely specific spells that you can use, and they're very rarely worth using. Most of the magic system is locked behind having a powerful mage ruler. But even that system isn't super interesting because the spells are really unbalanced. And some of them are extremely good. Dominate to Surrender just takes over the game, and some of them are terrible. I don't think a single person in the audience could tell me what any of the illusion spells right now do. Yeah, they're bad. They're bad. So the design philosophy of the magic rework basically estate magic should have a different identity from ruler magic while using the same system and the same set of spells. Can you go to the decisions menu for me?
Yep.
Yes. So there's a new magic. Open the magic interface. Go to spellbook. Thank you. Now, this set of spells, there are 6 per school, 8 schools total, 48 spells. This set of spells are the same between all nations on Halan. These are the same 48 spells that you have access to. Uh, However, the the identity of estate magic and ruler magic is different because go to advancements now. Each spell school also has a project that they can do. So, projects require your estate. These are big, massive projects that need, a research team basically, not just a single person, but an entire group of mages to make happen. Except for Lichdom. Lichdom is special. Lichdom gets to stay a ruler project if you want to do it that way. But the spells are either your estate or your powerful mage ruler needs to have that spell level, right? So basically, the identity is weighted so that if you're an estate, you're more interested in doing magical projects, and if you're a powerful mage, you're more interested in casting spells. Powerful mages are still powerful. They just get to be spell slingers more than um, project managers. Now, why is that interesting? It's because of the identity of magic. And more to the point, how the identity of magic does not infringe on the identity of artificer. We did not want to create Artificery 2.0. In fact, we wanted to create a system that was the exact opposite of Artificery. What is Artificery? Artificery is basically permanent modifier. You gradually unlock more permanent modifiers, and then you stack them. Hooray! You also get a special unit. That's pretty much it. But it gives us a very clear opposition, doesn't it? Instead of having constant low-level bonuses, Magic is all about big, flashy effects that take ages to build up to and are over in an instant. So that's where mana comes in. Mana generation is a super important stat. Balance-wise, we've estimated that 1 mana is worth about 1 monarch point of your choice. Of your choice, I should clarify. So it can get you tech faster, it can get you cores. That's about the power level we're working with. Everyone starts with 1 every month, but it can go up. The main ways it's going to go up are the magical infrastructure and the ruler's skill. Now, the ruler's skill is more interesting here because that's what defines the importance of a powerful mage is you basically get more mana, right? But what are you spending the mana on? You're spending it on these spells. And this mana generation system creates a limiting effect on the power of certain spells. Dominate to Surrender is still here. If you go over to look at Dominate to Surrender, it now costs 200 mana. If you have just 1 mana per month, that is 200 months to cast a single Dominate to Surrender. It still does what it did previously. It gives you full control over a province. It now actually does more. It gives you a core, and it lowers the province war score cost for that province by 90%. But I think Dominate to Surrender is like the best example of what we're going for with this new magic system. It is a massive, flashy effect that breaks the rules of everything else in the game. And it is extremely rare. You're not going to be able to cast this every war. But when you do, if you use it to its full potential, it will change the tide of the entire battle, of the entire conflict, rather. That is opposed by the project. Let's go over to the project. The projects are a bit more artificery-like. And the difference being that in order to research a project, you need to have spell levels for that spell school. And unlike Artificery, there are not a lot of them. I think one thing you're going to notice about Magic versus Artificery, Artificery is like a buffet. You get to go there and it's all you can eat, all right? You get to gorge yourself on modifiers and inventions. There are like 100 inventions or something. I don't know. I can't count. But Magic is like going to fine dining experience. Costs hundreds of dollars to attend. The chef is looking after you personally. The waiter learns your name. The tortillas will have your name branded on them. Every single one of these spells and these projects have been handcrafted by me and a couple other devs to be interesting, unique, and powerful. So these are more permanent modifiers, and that's why your estate matters. What is the basic difference between ruler and estate? Rulers are temporary, estates are forever. So your estate spell levels never leave you, but your ruler can die, and that's mirrored here in the projects. Your projects similarly are permanent upgrades to the rest of your nation. They are power level wise, they are worth about half an idea group. And they also stay with you as you transfer into Artificery. So, if you are thinking about going Artificery later in the game, Magic is not useless to you. You are focusing on estate magic, and projects, preparing for that switch later in the game. We also had a big question to answer, which is, how do we fix the fact that if we just do it this way, big magical nations produce the same amount of magic as small nations? The answer: magical infrastructure. If you go down to magical infrastructure, it is like the level of your magic in the nation, right? Magical infrastructure provides the most powerful flat buff to the magic system. It increases your mana capacity, and lets you study more schools. Because, oh, by the way, there is a cap on that. You can't just research every school. It is a bit more like idea groups, I would say. You only get to pick a few of them every game. So by making a magical infrastructure and making it a system where you have to achieve certain milestones in order to actually level up your magic for your nation, this is how big nations get ahead of small ones. But basically, the idea of magic is to provide a grab bag of interesting, unique tools that just help to smooth out the early parts of the game. All right. We know that there were a lot of very difficult starts in the game. Designers might not have always accounted for every little nuance. And what magic does, or at least what I've been finding with the test, is that difficult starts get the tools to solve them through magic. If you have a money problem, there are spells that give you money. If you have a force limit problem, you can use Conjuration to summon mercenaries that don't contribute to your force limit. Every question that is asked of a mission tree does not need to be answered by that mission tree. It can be answered via magic. The goal of the magic rework is to give the player things they want to do and then give them the tools to do that. It's also just beautiful, might I just add. It is a beautiful piece of UI. I got to shout out Jothel here. Jothel is a new contributor who just showed up one day out of the blue and redid so much of the UI for this update. He did the magic, which isn't going in this update. He did the racial system, which is in this update. Very, very pretty. But that's sort of magic at a high level. We are still working out the kingdom system. I would say if you want to help, the most important thing you can do is to join the Discord and download the testing brand. This is Steam. Today, Steam is updating. But as Steam is updating, Magic is going to go into a testing branch where it'll get prepared for the next update. Now, I want to be clear here. It is not expected that you test. It is not like it's not a requirement of joining the Discord or anything. In fact, this would be like a job sort of thing. Like if you were working at a company, you might be asked to do this and get paid for it. But if you want to help volunteer and you don't feel like developing, testing is probably the best, most important way you could possibly do that. So just a shout out. Yes, we are still working out the kinks of magic, and hopefully by the time it gets to you, everything has been smoothed out. But right now, I can just go hit some of the highlights. Go to the spell book. All right, I'm just going to talk about what my favorite thing is in each. Divination. Divination still has foresight. So if you look at foresight, it's still giving you all power costs. We had to nerf it. Everyone gets access to it now, so we had to nerf it. I'm sorry. But I think it is the most generically good spell school. It will probably not be the best for your specific situation, but every nation in the game can use more monarch power. And that is what divination gives you. More monarch power. It also gives you a few other things, like manipulated fortune gives you a modifier that magic is going to focus a lot on, which is bonuses to die roll. If you go to the next spell school, sorry, Katan, your stream is
I'm aware.
It's kind of buggy. I can't tell what's going on.
I'm aware. I'm at enchantment.
All right. Yeah. Yes. If you go to enchantment, we still have dominate to surrender. That's still very cool. What I think is really cool about enchantment is the Empire of Anbennar. Enchantment is like the diplomatics. If you want AE reduction, you have AE reduction. That's in the form of mass charm. If you want bonus relations, diplomats, diplomatic, improved relations, enchanting embassy is your friend. This is the Canorian school. Oh, I don't want to deal with coalitions. Oh, I'm having a lot of trouble managing my AE. Go enchantment. It'll make a world of difference. The project for this school is like a customizable country modifier, which I think is also pretty cool. Oh, by the way, almost all of the writing that you're seeing, I had to do that personally. So if you don't like it, I will personally apologize. But I'm kind of proud of some of the stuff I made. All right. Abjuration. Abjuration is defense. But what we found during testing is that defense is kind of a sucky identity for a spell school to have. Defense basically says, I want to lose the game, but slowly. And no one wants to lose the game, but slowly. So we still have defense. Hover over ward. Defense is still a very important part of this spell school. But a lot of the spells here are going to present a different way you could use abjuration. Ways to improve your colonization, hover over protected journey. Or maybe ways to improve your autonomy to enforce laws upon the rest of your empire. And that's not in Katan's update because he's mid-game and we just pushed that update. But yeah, that's the point of abjuration, is defending yourself. I think abjuration is going to be the premier dwarven school. If you are a dwarf and you're playing in a hold, it's probably the one you're going to go for. Go to transmutation. Transmutation. Transmutation is the gold school. If you want gold, it is here in spades. Go to, oh yes, transmute to gold. Very, very powerful. I want to click a button and get thousands of gold. Ridiculous things that people have never said before. But you can do it. You can do it. We let you. Plant growth, also a ridiculous spell. I know it doesn't look powerful just on the face of it, but we have had testers coming back to us saying that this spell is worth hundreds of gold. If you are playing in a region with a lot of plants, especially like Katarata or like most of Sarhal, honestly, this spell is primo spell. It also has reshaped terrain, which is for Bulwar. If you are in Bulwar, you want to get your dev cost up, very good. Oh, I also want to shout out that one of my favorite things in the Magic rework. It is that even though I may be presenting it like every spell has its own identity and we want to be, making sure they don't step on toes, which means that every spell is a very defined thing that it does, we've actually been pretty good about spreading out the most valuable things that you could be doing. Dev cost, yes. This spell is the highest dev cost you can get in the system. But there are a lot of other sources of dev cost. You're going to get some in abjuration. You're going to get some in divination. There are other sources of this modifier. You don't need to come here for it. Oh, and Rite of Conception, by the way, I just got to shout out Rite of Conception. It also is no longer as random as it once was. It now has a 99% chance of success, which means that if you fail, you can get very upset. You can get very angry, and justifiably so, because you have a 99% chance of winning this thing. This is not a lottery ticket. It is an insurance fund. All right, next school. Evocation is for war. We didn't get a step too far of line with this one. It wasn't like abjuration where you had to change your idea of what evocation can do. Turns out, winning wars, very powerful thing to be doing. Who would have guessed? It also teaches you about one of the new mechanics in the system, which is war magic. One of the questions that we had to answer was, how are we going to handle the fact that you can get military bonuses from the magic system? Because if you can do that, the most powerful thing, especially in multiplayer, is just going to be stacking all the military bonuses. So the way to do that, the way that we solved that, was by creating a category of spell called war magic. you can only have one war magic spell active at a time. What evocation teaches you is how important this mechanic is. Both of your spells that you unlock at tier 1 are war magic spells. You have to pick one. You can't have them both active at the same time. And what's more interesting is you really want them to both be active at the same time. Shock and Awe gives you not just shock damage, but it gives you barrage cost minus 50%. Flaming Munition says whenever you barrage a province, you cast Fireball on it for free. Fireball, by the way, advances the siege progress by 2. So very, very powerful spell. Man, you sure wish you could get them both. Elemental Fury. Elemental Fury lets you get both. And that is what Evocation teaches you, is how important the war magic slot is. But we also made sure to give Evocation some very powerful tools. Evocation is probably the most powerful early game spell. If you want War Wizards, get this spell school. You're going to go to your projects. You're going to advance your Battle Mage Academy. You're going to get free War Wizards. That's very powerful for the early game. The instant you advance this, you just ask a question of all the tags around you. Do you have something that can beat a War Wizard? And if they don't, you win. That's the power of Evocation. Evocation also has also has one more no diff spell that I want to talk about. Meteor Storm. If you go to its spell book and look at Meteor Storm for me. Yes, Meteor Swarm, it just deletes a fort. If you want to remove the fort from a province, it just deletes. Now you might go, that's too OP. Yeah, that's why Abjuration exists. Abjuration can prevent siege magic from happening. Anyway, next spell school. Actually, Tearfall lets you summon Dame Steer, but we're going to get into that right now. Next spell school. Illusion. Illusion is the spell school that was the hardest to work on because it had almost no identity before we started working on it. Yeah, it was basically extremely overlapping with enchantment. Illusion and enchantment were basically sort of the same thing. Like they even flavor-wise, we couldn't tell the difference. Now that we have a difference, enchantment is all about managing your diplomats and your external affairs and your relationships with other countries. Illusion is all about keeping your own people happy. And it's also about sabotaging your opponents. So if you look at something like Lead the Crowds, which is a legendary spell school, Lead the Crowds is probably the best example of internal management that we have in the system. You just took a massive peace deal. Your overextension is through the roof. You need help. What do? You lead the crowds. You lose separatism. You get less overextension. You get core creation cost. This is a big, massive spell that's very niche. Oh, by the way, I should probably specify. All the legendary spells, very niche. You're probably not going to use them a lot. That was one of our goals going in, is to not make it so that you just focus a single spell school. Across the board, the most powerful spells in each spell school are going to be in the second level, not the third, the second. That encourages you to multi-school, basically. Go into different schools, pick up things here and there. That's what we wanted to have happen. Assimilation program, I think, is also going to be very good. I think Katana showed you Shadows in the Night, which is basically a way to get more war magic. Sabotage magic lets you debuff your opponents, which is going to help you win a war. If you want to stack siege ability, fort defense minus 25% on all your opponents, very good. But yeah, Illusion is just all about managing your internals. And I liked its project because it's sort of it's very biased towards republics and nations that can swap out rulers very often, because you can store personality traits as country modifiers with this project, and which means if you have a constant like rotation of people, it's gonna net you a lot more. All right, next spell school. Coming up on the end here, next one is Necromancy. This one, you already know what this one is. Unfortunately, Lichdom is still here. So you can still get Immortal Rulers. Army of the Dead is still here. You can still get Undead Army, which basically means that this is by default the most broken spell school. But we did our best, okay? We did our best to make it a little more interesting. Go to Speak with Dead. Basically, we knew that the entire power of this spell school comes from the legendary bonuses, right? Army of the Dead and being a lich. So we made the rest of the spells sort of revolve around that. If you want your lich to be a 666, that's okay. You can do it in necromancy. You don't need to learn transmutation. Speak with Dead will give you bonus ruler points. If you want to, get more quantity as your undead army needs to grow bigger, Steel Vitality is available. That gives you manpower recovery. So we really looked to necromancy as like the one spell school where we kind of broke our own rules. Legendary spell is very powerful. Everything else is in support of that. In fact, if you hover over False Life, which is the cantrip, which means that you don't need any levels in this spell school to cast it, cantrip explicitly gets better for you if you have Undead Army. All right, last spell school. Conjuration. Conjuration is interesting. Conjuration is sort of a grab bag, but its main focuses are mercenaries and XP. So you have 2 summon spells and a project that summons stuff for you. What these summons are interesting with is they don't contribute to your force limit. These are mercenary companies that cost no gold and don't contribute to your force limit. Basically, they allow you to punch way above your weight. If you are a small nation and you study Conjuration, you can get like double your force limit in troops by summoning temporary creatures out of the ether. We also have aid construction here. Dwarves will probably find this spell school like a good secondary pickup. You've got construction costs and construction time and aid construction. Oh, by the way, aid construction, I hated the old design. The way you had to just like calculate whether or not it was worth it to like spend the gold to get the construction cost. I thought it was really annoying that you had to do that. So no longer cost gold. You just get a flat modifier. It is probably less powerful than it previously was, but it's way less annoying as well. Oh, and conjure supplies, very good for dwarves as well, because it gives you global settler increase. And just in general, you have manpower issues as dwarves. Summons help with that. The project for this spell school, I think, is interesting. It's all about like summoning Cthulhu and stuff. I don't know if that breaks lore, but I haven't been called out on it yet, so maybe. Who knows? Anyway, that's a quick overview of all of the spell schools, all of the projects. That's what you have to look forward to. Again, if you want to play this, it won't be in the next update. It will be in the testing branch. So you gotta join the Discord for it.
Well,
all right. I can see we've gone down to about half of the.
Technically, it's not the next update. It is this update because the update is now live, and I imagine that's a good reason why a bunch of people are leaving.
Oh yeah, that's a very good reason. You all should go play Anbennar. In fact, I'm going to go do that just right now. All right, I think that's good enough. Oh, one more thing. Don't worry if you didn't catch everything during this stream. This will all be coming out. I will have a series of dev diaries. This is probably the biggest global change that's going to happen in the next update. It's all going to get explained to you again. All right, talk to y'all later. It was very fun talking to you all. See ya. Hope you had fun.
I'll drop a link to the Magic Rework Bitbucket if you guys want to pull that, and then I'm gonna head out. Which alone? Oh, I see. All right. That's the end. Enjoy the update. It's very fun.